The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Hello, I'm your host, Darren Hyman. You're watching Open, the one and only talk show that brings the Bronx and the world right to you. First up, a touching story about the renaming of a Bronx post office in memorial of a fallen hero. Then our very own Derek Woods previews his trip to Cover Ireland's Rose of Tralee Festival. And Community Connections for Youth stops by to discuss how they rehabilitate Bronx youth and help to keep them out of prison. And then later on, the New York Institute of Special Education tells us about their very own Summer Olympics for preschoolers. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now, we're open. Hello, Bronxites. I'm your host, Darren Hyman, and today is Wednesday, August 15th, 2012. And of course, you're watching Open, the show bringing you the inside scoop on the things in the Bronx, New York, and the world. We're always live, and we are always interactive, so always you can give us a call at 718-960-7241. That's our studio line. Or you can send us an email to open@bronxnet.org. And you can check us out on the via computer. Now, we're also on all the social networking sites. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com, Open BronxNet Television, or Twitter at BronxNet TV. And as we said, you can watch us straight from our website, www.bronxnet.org. So no reason to miss us wherever we are. Kicking things off today, Private Isaac T. Cortez was a proud American soldier who planned on becoming a New York City police officer before enlisting in the Army. Instead, his life was cut short while on duty in Iraq, and now he'll be forever remembered in his neighborhood post office when it's renamed tomorrow in his honor. We now welcome to the show his mother, Emily Toro, and thank you so much for joining us, Emily.
Thank you for having me.
It's got to be a bittersweet time for you, first of all, to first have the renaming of a post office, because your son lost his life out in Iraq. What's it kind of like for you right about now?
It's exciting. You know, I have a street renamed after Isaac as well. I thought having that was more exciting than this. This is like overwhelming, and it's a great honor. And I'm proud that Isaac is being recognized that way.
You talked a little bit in the opening about he wanted to be a New York City police officer. Talk a little bit about that dream.
Yeah, it's funny because when he was a kid, he didn't like the policemen. But then as he grew older, he wanted to be a police officer, and he didn't have college credits, so he enlisted in the Army to further his career. But once he was enlisted, he says, you know, Mom, I think I'm going to make the Army my career. Mm-hmm. And he kind of put the police officer to the side for a while.
Going into the Army, any reservations, any feelings about having to go to Iraq?
You know, it's funny because when he said I was going to enlist, I was like, Isaac, the first police officer, I'm like, that's a dangerous job. The Army is even more dangerous. But I didn't think he would do it because, you know, Isaac was a heavy boy. And but he was so dedicated and wanted to join the military that he lost 100 pounds in less than a year when he enlisted. And he signed up for infantry, so I knew that he would be going to Iraq. Mm-hmm. I just didn't think it would be that soon.
Mm-hmm. So give us a little bit about what's happened since then, since his passing.
Well, a lot has happened. He's been honored in a lot of ways. Where Isaac left off with the torch, I picked up. Mm-hmm. So we've done blood drives, toy drives, care packages, a street we have renamed in Parkchester as well for him. I've raised money to purchase a hand crank bike to endow to a wounded soldier so they can use in the race in Central Park. and the post office, and many other things.
Congressman Crowley says now the post office will be named in Isaac's honor. And obviously, to have a post office named is a major accomplishment. That doesn't happen.
No,
that doesn't happen often. So for you and your family, does this give you a sense of pride in the fact of how Isaac served his country?
Yes, it does. Initially, I first wanted to get the post office named after him, but I saw the red tape and the hard work. That's why I kind of directed my way to the street renaming. But when I met Congressman Crowley, he put the seed back in my head and said, hey, have you tried about the post office? I'm like, yeah. Help me out, and through his help, we got this now, tomorrow, and I'm excited.
Isaac also received the Purple Heart and a
Yes.
Bronze Star for his service overseas in Iraq, and obviously a hero to all of us here in the borough of the Bronx and across the United States. What message do you have for parents and mothers of those who have actually lost their lives in the war?
My message is that don't dwell on the death. Memorialize your son or daughter. Remember them for what they stood for. They fought for this country, and we wouldn't have the freedom we have now speaking if it wasn't for boys like my son and all that felt before, during, and after. And be there for them and give them the positive attitude that they want. Because I know there are a lot of parents out there who would not want their child to be in the military or to be deployed, but this is a choice these kids made. And you have to respect them and honor it. And, stand by them. I did for Isaac.
You were pretty steadfast in your desire to have your son's, history and to acknowledge his presence and to know about the contributions that he made out there in Iraq. What has helped you get through this whole experience and this whole ordeal?
It's helped me out a lot because I never seek counseling, and my way of dealing with the grief was to do something positive out of death. Out of tragedy, I made something positive out of it. I do a lot of volunteer work at Fort Hamilton. Actually, I was just nominated Volunteer of the Year for all the work I do there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I do a lot of volunteer for the United War Veterans Council, for the War Front to the Home Front Foundation. So I give my part, and I give. Where my son gave, I still give. And, it's good to, I don't want to sit back and do nothing. So I want to, show my son that, hey, I can do what you did. And that's my way of giving back. I mean, I paid the ultimate sacrifice with my son. But I feel that I need to be out there and give out that positive attitude and help everyone in some way or form, And
how has your family dealt with the whole loss? I mean, obviously you've coped in your own kind of way. How's your family dealing?
My family's coping pretty well, My brother, he always wanted to be in the military, so now he's in the cadets, and that's his way of giving his contribution. And it's been 4.5 years, and he still gets choked up when we talk about Isaac. And but everyone does their part in honoring, not only, like I said, my son. I make sure, when you see a soldier, you say thank you. It takes those 2 words. My granddaughters, 5 and 7. And they see a soldier down the street, doesn't matter where they see them, and they thank them for their service to our country, just to give back.
Well, I'll tell you, we are talking about saying thank you, and the Bronx is saying thank you to Isaac Cortez. Actually, the the post office renaming is actually 1449 West Avenue in the Bronx will be now named the Private Isaac T. Cortez Post Office. And as we said, Isaac Cortez, an Army soldier killed in Iraq in the year 2007. The Bronx is paying homage to him. So come on out to the post office. That's taking place tomorrow between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 noon. What was it like when you got the news that President Obama had signed it into law?
It's funny because the bill was introduced in 2010, but it didn't pass the Senate. It took a while. It was late. So when it was reintroduced again in 2011, and then March, it was passed by the House, and then in May, it was passed by the Senate, and then June 6th was when the President of the United States signed the bill. And Congressman Crowley didn't get to call me that night because the session was in the evening. I got the news. A friend of mine called me and says, Emily, I saw you on TV. So when I turned on Bronx News, there it was. And then the next morning, it was when Congressman Crowley called, I got some good news for you. I said, it's too late, I already heard it on the TV. But it was I cried. I cried. I turned on the TV, I think it was about midnight, 12:30, close to 1. And when I saw it, I screamed. My mother was sleeping. I woke her up out of her sleep. But it was an exciting thing just to know that the president signed this bill.
Was it a little bit hairy going through all of this political red tape? Because, it's going through Washington. It's got to go through both the Senate, and getting that bill passed. A lot of red tape. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. What was it like for you in that moment?
It was exciting because a month before, I wrote to the president, explained to him about being at the White House and meeting the vice president. And I said to him, and by the way, we have a post office, and I'm hoping before you leave office, you'll get to sign this bill. Never got a response back, but a month later, I said,
you got the response. It was signed. It was signed.
Yeah.
A signature is better than a phone call, huh?
Exactly, yes.
So tomorrow will be the big day. What can we expect out there?
We're going to have a lot of people. We're going to have a lot of veterans. A few of Isaac's platoon buddies that were with him when he was killed are coming down from Fort Drum. The new colonel from Fort Hamilton, the Command Sergeant Major, will be there. Some politicians and tons of people show their support and love.
What message would you want Bronxites and the rest of the world to know about our troops that you can pass through Isaac's legacy?
Just to respect them and thank them and be grateful for this freedom that they have. Like I mentioned before, we don't have this freedom if it wasn't for these men and women that sign a blank check with their lives to give us the freedom that we have.
Well, Emily Toro, mother of Isaac Cortez, thank you so much. And as we said, I know it's a bittersweet day. You'll be celebrating, but at the same time, I know the thoughts will be with Isaac as well. And so thank you so much for coming to share your story. And congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And we'll continue to follow up on this.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Emily Toro, the mother of Isaac Cortez. Now, for more information about Private Cortez and his legacy, you can contact Emily Toro at 917-971-8748. Now, we got to take a break, but first, a memorial to another fallen hero, Eric Hernandez. Bronxet's Ismaris Rivera has more.
The 52nd Precinct renames a street on the corner of Moshulu Parkway North and Webster Avenue in tribute to police officer Eric Hernandez, who was killed in 2006 in a tragic case of mistaken identity by a fellow officer during a fight at a White Castle restaurant.
Eric may not be here in body, but he is still with us when I look at my family.
The unveiling of the Eric Hernandez Memorial Corner was a bittersweet moment. It was a great tribute to his life, but opened old wounds from his tragic demise.
Eric was a great kid and a great person, and it was my honor to have known him.
To stand alongside the members of the 52nd Precinct to share in his remembrance of the life that he lived, the sacrifices that he made so that New York City can be a safer place.
I think it's a fitting gesture for his memory. It's great for the family, it's great for the precinct, and it's great for Eric.
Eric Hernandez was from the Hispanic community, and this is a Hispanic community. And I think that the important message is that the police force represents everyone.
Eric was a star football player and natural-born leader, but most importantly, he is the pride of his family.
It's a great feeling. I mean, nothing takes away the fact that I wish he was with me, but something like this, it's an honor for me and my family.
He did what he can do. He put his best foot forward in everything that he did, and he persevered.
This was a very emotional event, but also a tribute to a fallen hero, Officer Eric Hernandez. This is Issa Marie Rivera reporting for BronxNet.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
So, dude, I did the most shocking thing today. It was just something I never thought I'd do.
Did your parents find out?
My mom cried.
What'd you do?
And we are back here on Open. Darren Jaime, we're with you, and we encourage you always, if you want to share with us, give us a call. 960-7241 is the number, and also you can check us out via our Facebook page. And make sure that you give us a like, give us a comment, so that we can find out exactly what's happening here on Open and share your views. Well, he's one of BronxNet's most familiar faces. He's headed to Ireland to cover the traditional Rose of Tralee Festival, And Derek Woods, we welcome him now to Open it. You know, anytime that you and I are sitting on the stage, there's something big happening.
We can talk forever. And
That's right.
Definitely. Well, I wouldn't say it's big, but it's great to see you as always. You're looking wonderful, pal.
You're looking good too, man. You're looking good. So you are off to Ireland, and today?
I'm off to Ireland today. I'm at 5 o'clock out of JFK. It should be exciting. The Rose of Tralee is a wonderful, wonderful Irish international festival. It's held in the town of Tralee in County Kerry in Ireland. It's going on its 53rd year, and really a little bit about it is that it just it's a wonderful celebration of Irish cultural heritage, and young women from all 32 counties in Ireland are selected. A rose is selected to represent each county, but also roses from all over the world, from Irish communities from all over the globe. Each send a representative to Ireland to compete for over a 4-day festival in Tralee, and it's pretty exciting.
So it's a pretty major event.
It's a major event. Think Ireland's version of the Miss America pageant, but with that traditional Irish flavor to it. It's a festival for families from all over Ireland. It has a long and rich heritage now in its 53rd year. And I've never actually been there, so I'm actually being excited to kind of learn about it myself, to follow the New York Rose while she's there, and it should be a blast.
And we do have some Bronx representation somewhere in there?
We do. Anne Marie Lynch was the she was crowned the New York Rose this past April. And she made it through the regional finals. They do have a regional final in June to cut down the large crowd, and now she will be representing New York at the Tralee Festival. She's there now.
Wow. So talk to us a little bit about Ireland, and for people who aren't so familiar, give us a little bit of history and background of it.
Well, you know, as the old saying goes, when New York was Irish, obviously one of the largest ethnic groups in New York at this time, it's dwindled, it's changed a lot, but New York City will forever be shaped by its Irish past. And I'm a really big proponent for keeping that Irish heritage alive. I've done a lot of projects. I especially am proud of my association with the Throgs Neck St. Patrick's Day Parade every year. And a couple of years back, I actually did a documentary that was acknowledged by the New York Emmys with a nomination on Irish immigration. So it's very important. And then the Irish, especially in a presidential election year as well, immigration is at the forefront, and there's a lot of undocumented Irish that are still in the United States that still need representation. So while the culture and the heritage dance is very important, it's also very important for the nation as well, for an understanding. Ireland, obviously, immigration patterns to America has been limited since the 1960s, and certainly both my parents were Irish immigrants, and certainly that resonates with me today.
Give us a little bit about your coverage, because you'll be out there for the course of the week. You'll be filing separate reports. What can we expect to see?
Well, I'm going to be trying to, Ireland's actually 5 hours ahead, so I got enough time to make the thing. I'm actually going to be winging it a little bit. I'm not quite sure how the logistics are going to work, but I'm going to be trying to do at least phone-ins if I can get the packages cut and edited. We'll be kind of sending that. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. I've never actually done international correspondence for BronxNet.
And we're seeing some images now as we speak. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing.
Well, these are actual footage from the Tralee Festival. As you can see, it's a massive, massive festival. The lineup, if anyone is curious, you can go on, I think it's Rose of Tralee, www.roseoftralee.ie. And it really is a combination of music, of dance. Tralee is awash with events, with about 5 or 6 different venues. It looks, when you look at that footage too, it reminds you of the Olympics.
Right, I was going to say, it's got to be pretty big coming out.
Oh my goodness, and it's actually unlike our traditional pageants here. The event is televised all over Ireland, over 2 nights, which will be, I think, Sunday and Monday, or Monday and Tuesday. I'm not quite sure right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a big event. And what I like about it is that, you know, beauty pageants get a bad rap sometimes in some circles. You know, I don't look at it that way. I look at it at any time you have a competition that's done this well and this big and highlights on the important cultural aspects, and you hear really these representatives of the next generation. I mean, that's really what it's all about, and that's what I loved seeing. The New York Rose had their festival here back in April. Miss Una Teresa Gormley's done a great job. She's taken over. She's really trying to bring it back to its prominence, because it's always been important, but I think obviously because of, you know, again, the changing face of the Irish community here in the tri-state area, I think it kind of affects that. So there was a time when I was growing up, you know, every young woman or a sister or anyone else, you know, they were planning, or everyone always talked about the Rose of Tralee once they turned 18, 19. So, you know, that's still an option, and I still think it's a great event. And this year's event was held at Yonkers Raceway this past April. It was hosted by the legendary Sean Ruane. He's a Bronx legend. He did a great job. And Empire City, I don't know if you've been up there, even though it's Yonkers, a wonderful facility really close by. They just opened their arms and really made it a world-class event. And I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So I'm really proud of my association with this organization as well. And again, the opportunity to kind of bring it to our BronxNet viewers as well is really exciting.
Give us a little bit about the Irish history here in the borough of the Bronx. As you said, you spent a lot of time documenting the history here in the Bronx and across New York City. A population that's on the rise?
Well, you know, again, not to, you know, to take any flack from our wonderful borough historian Lloyd Oltan. Obviously, you know, immigration patterns into the Bronx, you know, again, it used to be predominantly Dutch, obviously from its wings, and then Germans, and then Italian and Irish in the 20th century. There was a time where, you know, Jewish immigration, obviously the Jewish, the Irish, the Italians, all populated every corner of the borough. Now, again, in the Irish, obviously Woodlawn is still a very large ethnic enclave, along with parts of Throgs Neck. But that would switch from a time when most of the Bronx had Irish communities all across of it. So nothing good or bad associated with that. The Bronx is always a safe haven for immigrants. This is now the time of the the Puerto Rican community has made their mark and they're moving on. I think now for the borough of immigration, it's really very DR flavored, which is you know, you can call in and argue about that. But I think the beauty of it is the Bronx is always a home, a safe haven. But again, I think the Bronx in New York City, you know, again, the Irish community is still a huge part of our city. And I think that's important. And if it's not continually you know, promoted or at least shared with kids in the next generation, then there's always a chance it can go. So I really don't want that ever to happen.
Talk to us about this. Rose of Tralee, obviously you're going to be out there, you'll be following your reports. If somebody wants to be able to watch the whole, you know, the whole set of events, of course they're going to tune in here. Of course you're going to tune in here. Of course you're going to tune in here. But where else do they have the opportunity?
Well, you know, Slattery's, it's a bar down in Midtown, I believe on the west side. They're actually showing it live, the festival, so they have a thing. So that's kind of nice. So if you really have Rose of Tralee on the brain and you want to follow Anne-Marie Lynch, she's a young woman from Woodlawn. She has a lot of friends. I'm sure they'll have a big contingent heading down there. And I wouldn't be surprised now that Slattery's is doing that in the city. I'm sure there's a couple of places up in the Yonkers and the Bronx that might be trying to do the same thing. But so that's a great thing. And then obviously online, I'm going to be trying to, again, follow reports with BronxNet. And obviously roseoftralee.ie. They have a Rose TV, which has an incredible amount of daily things. I was just looking at a few of them before I'm coming. They're already in full swing getting started over there, so I got to get on the plane today and catch up.
That's right. 5 o'clock the flight leaves. There you see a little bit more information. Coverage highlights will be here on Open, 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Friday, August 17th through Monday, August the 20th, and Wednesday, August 27th. Be sure to check us out. BronxNet, Channel 67, of course. And if you want to check it out for more Verizon Fios, that is Channel 33. Now talking about the Olympics, how did Ireland make out in the Olympics?
Ireland did not claim any medals this year.
No!
But, you know, that's
better
okay.
get over there and work some athletes in
Well, yeah, I got to start with myself first, and then I will work on that afterwards. But again, you know, by all accounts, the whole Olympics, hats off to London. For doing what just seems to be an amazing job. Even it
was great. Wasn't
it was amazing. Even you know, as a artist myself and with a love of theater, to see what they did with the opening and the closing ceremonies, I mean, you know what I mean? Talk about making spectacle relevant, which is really, really hard. I was blown away by it. And also a great Mr. Roscoe from the South Bronx. I heard he got back to the Bronx. I mean, what a great representative of the Bronx. That is just a great story, so I'm hoping you're going to have him in here soon, because I want to see that interview.
Hopefully. And then check it out. If you want to find out more, you could always, well, thank you, Derek, too. And I want to tell you, if you want to check out more what Derek has to do and what he's doing over there in Ireland, be sure to check him out. He's going to Ireland for the coverage of the Rose of Tralee Festival. We want you to keep watching Open all this month on BronxNet TV, because guess what? Derek will be filing reports. We'll be giving you some information, and we want you to be included in the big celebration that's taking place in Ireland. So best wishes to you, man.
Thanks.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you. I'm gonna try. You know.
I'm
very low cut. You know.
Low key. I understand. Right. Okay. When we come back from break, we'll be talking to an organization that is helping Mott Haven youth stay out of recurring trouble. That's right after this when we return.
New York Rose heading to Portleash is Emery Lynch.
It's an absolute honor to firstly represent New York. I think being Irish American, it's so important. New York has been a safe haven for Irish people to come over and to find success and to find a great new life for themselves while still maintaining their Irish heritage. I could not be any prouder, and I couldn't be any prouder to be standing on stage with those incredible girls. They are 15 of the most kindest, nicest women I have ever met in my life. And I think it's just an honour to represent those people, and I hope I do the Irish American people proud when I compete in the regionals in Ireland.
A group of tough bikers here from the Bronx have a soft heart after all. They're riding throughout New York City, and it's all for a good purpose. Motorcycles and cars revved up their engines outside Hunts Point Riverside Park. Not for a race, though. It's all part of a fundraising effort for Wigs for Kids, a national organization that provides wigs at no cost to children with severe hair loss due to cancer or other medical conditions.
What we're doing is either we're collecting hair, 12 inches of hair, or a simple donation just to help the cause so that we can send it to all the funds being don't give it back to Wigs for Kids.
With police escorts in front, followed by several dozen cycles and cars combined, the group made their way east on Edgewater Road to begin a 30-mile journey through the city.
We're starting out right here at Riverside Park. We're going to get on the Bruckner. We're going to cross the Whitestone Bridge to the Van Wyck Expressway, the Van Wyck Expressway to the West Bell Parkway, the West Bell Parkway to the BQE, over the Brooklyn Bridge, come down to the FDR, and take it back to the Bronx.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. This is just for the kids. I love the kids. I work with kids.
You didn't have to ride out to participate. Professional stylist LaQuanta McClarty was on hand to cut ponytails for those deciding to contribute their hair for a wig.
For the kids. I'm overwhelmed.
She wasn't the only one ready to cut inches off.
Why did you decide to do it?
To help people that don't have hair.
There was no age requirement to get involved. Iowa Rivera is holding up her daughter Jolie Sontren's ponytail that she voluntarily decided to donate.
Because so people don't have no more cancer. And be nice to people.
I've been saying I want to chop off this hair. Everybody's telling me not to, but if it's for a good cause and I know it's going to grow back, you know, God gave me hair and he'll give it back to me.
This is the first ever event of its kind meant to be a day of celebration. Music, games, and other activities were provided, while Janine Rivera and Rosemary Mercado, both from After Dark Riders, grilled up burgers.
We do it because it comes from the heart. So we love helping the community, helping our kids. What more can we ask?
We have people that can't do for themselves, that don't have, you know, that they're less fortunate than we are. So we like to give back to help them out. It makes us feel good doing this for other people, and we don't ask for anything in return.
In just a few hours, the bikers will return here to Hunts Point Riverside Park for an all-day celebration with the community. For BronxNet, this is Arlene McCoy.
And thank you, Arlene, for your coverage. Well, welcome back. We've got much to share with you, but remember, the show is impossible without you. So we encourage you to join in on the conversation by calling 718-960-7241 or sending us an email at open@bronxnet.org, following and tweeting to us at BronxNetTV, or even like us and post something on our timeline at Facebook. And you could always be able to do that. You can go to Open BronxNet Television and say what you want to say. And if you're special enough, we just might mention it right here on this very show. Well, Community Connections for Youth's mission is to get kids out of the detention system and back into active lifestyles. To tell us more about CCFY, we welcome now to the show the Executive Director, Ruben Austria. And good to have you, Ruben. Good to have you share with us.
Good to be here.
Thanks. So obviously, it's got to be it's your focus to really deal with youth in the area of juvenile detention and to try to create alternatives to incarceration and deals. So give us a little bit more about your organization.
Sure. Well, we started the organization in 2009, and we started it because of the abject failure of our current juvenile justice system. People need to know that we're spending right now about $270,000 to incarcerate just one kid for 1 year. And of the kids that we incarcerate, these are kids under 16, 89% of the boys and 81% of the girls get rearrested. Of the kids that we send into the juvenile detention system, about 98% are kids of color, Black and Latino youth. And so we basically have this juvenile justice system that by any stretch of the imagination is an investment in failure. It's an investment in putting kids on the path to the adult criminal justice system. And we thought the community can do something much better about this. And we knew that there were programs out there that really work to help young people stay out of trouble. And so we started the organization to say that if we had the chance to keep young people from going into that system in the first place, after they get arrested, and a lot of times these kids are getting arrested for things that we all did as teenagers, fights in school, taking some property, but that we could get them plugged into positive activities, we could get them connected to mentors, people who live in the community, and we could probably get them on the path, not just to staying out of trouble, but becoming leaders in the neighborhood. And we've really seen that start to happen.
So give us a little bit about a young person that is actually involved in in this program. What do they have the opportunity to experience?
So typically what happens is when a young person gets arrested, we've got a deal worked out with the family court that if the young person comes to our program and completes anywhere from 60 days to 6 months, that they can have their records sealed and the case will never formally be processed through the system. Typically when they show up, they're not necessarily happy to be there right away. Their parents aren't necessarily happy to be there. It's kind of a negative experience. And what we do is try to tap into the positive right away and just say, what do you like to do? What do you care about? What's fun for you? And try to get them started on a plan that really builds on their strengths. So we have one kid who just is really into cooking. We got him into a culinary institute, and he's been practicing his cooking skills. But the real heart of the program is then when we send young people to one of 3 sites that we have in the neighborhood. One is at the Betances Community Center. There's a guy there named Jaime Rivera who runs this amazing youth leadership academy that teaches young people basically how to be peer advocates and to educate their friends about how to stay out of the justice system. Another site is the Freedom Community Center. And a guy there named Ray Figueroa, he does community gardening with young people. And the young people are actually, they work on planting this youth farm. I was there yesterday and ate some of the cherry tomatoes that were coming right off the vine. And, they take young people, and these are kids from the South Bronx, from our concrete jungle, as we like to call it. And Brook Park is like this oasis where young people can come and just get their hands in the soil, learn to grow things. And the third place is a program called Yucca, run by a friend of mine called William Acevedo. And he gets young people involved in art and graphic design. And they just did a community mural to honor community activist Joe Perez, who just passed in Mott Haven. But basically at these sites, they get involved in positive activities. They learn to be with other young people doing healthy, fun stuff. And I think probably the most important part, too, is that at these sites, they're mentored by what we call community coaches. And those are primarily other Bronxites, a lot of people from the neighborhood who just volunteer to spend anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a week with these young people in groups and one-on-one. And basically, it's just a lot of encouragement, a lot of kind of redirection, saying, hey, you've been faced with a lot of negativity up until this point. But check it out. I'm gonna do some things with you, and I'm gonna teach you to do some things different.
Take us through that, because here you have a young person, and sometimes when they're in the system of incarceration, as you said from the onset, your place is not the place they really want to be. Because basically they really would rather be home or doing something else. How long does it take you really to get to? Because obviously I can sit and say, yeah, there's a lot of success stories, but I know it's a lot of struggle just to get a young person to become engaged out of incarceration. Talk about that struggle.
Yeah, well, sometimes it happens right away, just because there's a lot of fun stuff going on. Sometimes we got to actually chase kids down and knock on doors and call and they hang up. Eventually it kind of clicks in where they realize this program is different. This program is not about making us follow rules or telling us that we're bad or that we need to be rehabilitated. This program is just basically saying, hey, like, you've done some stuff that's got you into trouble, but we want to build on your natural strengths right now. We want to focus on what you want to do that's healthy and good. And there's often a warm-up. And the beautiful thing about the program, so far, 90% of the kids who've been through it have successfully completed their court mandate. But this is the really awesome part, that 70% of those who complete the court mandate, they keep on staying involved with us voluntarily. And what that lets us know is that sometime in the course of them initially coming and being mandated, something's clicked where they've said, this is a good place for me to be. This is a place I'd rather be than out on the street or on the block just hanging out. And so they keep on coming around, hanging out, and doing positive things with us.
A great way to reduce the recidivism rate. And while we're taking a look here, let's take a look at some of the video that we're seeing right here. What are we seeing here?
Okay. Okay, so this is actually, in addition to our direct work with youth, one of the things that we've seen is that New York has, for so long, spent all this money incarcerating young people, taking them out of the community, and really also taking out the resources, the money that could be used for programs in the neighborhood, and also taking away the experience that we used to have in the community of just folks coming around young people and saying, hey, if you're getting into trouble, let's do this stuff. We have a training institute. We'll be putting it on for the next time again in the fall, where we train folks from other community-based organizations, from schools, from faith-based organizations, basically train them on how to develop these types of programs for young people. Because we do it in Mott Haven, and that's our backyard. That's where I live. That's where I planted a church. It's a great place, but we say that every neighborhood needs to have a program like this. We don't want to run the program in every neighborhood. We want the folks who are already in that neighborhood doing things with young people to say, hey, if we come together as a collaborative and we get some training and we develop some structure to this program, we could also get young people diverted from the court and raise them into the adults they need to be.
How hard was it to get the court system to buy into that? Because, right now, we can say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they're pretty interested in making some money, because you stated there's a lot of money that goes per person. How hard was it for you to get this to become a court-mandated agency to be able to take these young people and offer them this alternative?
It took a little while. I think the timing was good in that New York City is realizing, again, that it's kind of the cat's out of the bag that incarceration is a failure. And so judges realize it now, probation realize it, the prosecutors realize it. They realize that sometimes we have a problem with crime on our hands, juvenile offenses, but that putting kids into prison is just the worst possible thing you could do for public safety. And so we were able, it took several meetings, and we kind of had to meet from the commissioner level all the way down to the branch chief, to everybody, but to say, hey, is there a win-win for us here where you could get young people into something where they would be less likely to reoffend, and we as the community could help you out by giving the kids the supports they need in the neighborhood. And once we came to that place of understanding, it made sense. We had to push the idea a little bit because typically the courts are more comfortable kind of having young people under ongoing supervision. We actually think that having them under community supervision, where you're keeping the case out of court altogether, is the right way to go for these kids when they're real young, 13, 14, and 15, so that they don't grow up feeling like they're just already part of the justice system.
And they've already made a mistake that they can't get out of.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us, Ruben. Community.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Community connections for you. Thank you so much. All right, now more on CCFY. It can be found at their website. There you see, www.cc-fy.org. And we will be back with the New York Institute of Special Education's Summer Olympics. That's coming up. We're still in the Olympic spirit. Don't go anywhere.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, girl, Nicole, good luck on the play tonight. You're welcome. What's up, guys? Now you're gonna make sure that you return those on Monday, right? Thank you. Oh, nice.
We'll talk to you for a second. Go ahead, get some water. Come on, let me get some water. Get out the way. Hey, Shannon, please, stand back, sir. We're just dumping a little excess sewage here. I hope those shoes aren't new. Oh, God.
And that's right, Election Day is on November the 6th, and of course we can't tell you who to vote for, but we can tell you to exercise your right to vote, and you saw just there where you can go and how you can participate. We are back here on Open, and we thank you for watching us and sharing with us. The New York Institute for Special Education is a private not-for-profit facility providing quality educational and motivating programs for children with disabilities or developmentally delayed. They just hosted their annual Summer Olympics, and we have Cindy Flowers, a physical therapist with us. And thank you so much for coming and joining with us, Cindy.
Thank you for inviting me.
So give us a little bit about this, because we're in the Olympic spirit, and we are fresh out of London, And yet and still, you guys are participating in the Olympics in a very special way. Special.
Yes, at the Readiness Program, which is the preschool program for the New York Institute for Special Education, we have a 6-week summer program. Our students are aged 3 to 5 with special needs, and we always try to do special events during the summer to make it a little bit more fun for them. So we thought that since John Orozco was representing the Bronx and the children might see him on television, that it would be really relevant for them if we hosted our own Summer Olympics. So what we did was we have each classroom make a flag of a country that they're going to represent. And on Wednesday afternoon, before our Thursday Olympics, we had the Parade of Nations where the children marched around with their flags. And then on Thursday, we hosted our Special Olympics. The Olympics is really run by the therapists, the physical therapists and occupational therapists in our school. And we design activities that the children will be working on their motor skills.
So from 3 to 5 years old.
3 to 5 years old with special needs.
You've got kids engaged in this. What's it like for the kids, obviously, watching the Olympics, I guess, and even though they're 3 to 5, it's still got to be something special for them participating in their own kind of.
They really seem to have a lot of fun. And, they're actually practicing their motor skills and not realizing it while they're involved in these activities.
How?
Okay. Well, we had a javelin throw, but what we used was pool noodles for our javelins, and they're working on their eye-hand coordination, they're strengthening their throwing skills. Then we had our version of beach volleyball. We had a volleyball net, and the kids were hitting beach balls over the net. So again, they were working on their strength and their eye-hand coordination. We had balance beam activities for them to work on their balance. We had them jump hurdles and tumble into a pillow.
I'm seeing some bowling right here as I speak, and some things. Tell us what we're seeing.
Yes, this is not the Summer Olympics.
Oh, okay. So this is not
This, I think, was our Winter Olympics.
Okay.
These are activities from our Winter Olympics.
So this is kind of a little bit of variation.
Well, yeah, here we had this. They were throwing snowballs. We had a snowball fight, but this is really our Winter Olympics. This was from our Winter Olympics.
So even in that, though, there's a lot of skills that are involved in terms of getting kids coordinated through a fun environment. And for them, they don't understand exactly the fullness of, okay, we're doing some developmental things with you, but they're more participating in the fun. Talk to us about how you're getting these kids engaged in these things.
Okay, well, every day we have the kids participate in gross motor activities in their classrooms. That we have several outdoor playgrounds, and we have an indoor gym. So every day they get to participate in gross motor activities. I mean running, jumping, climbing, skipping, hopping. And then certain children during the day have individual physical therapy and occupational therapy where they also work on these skills. So we're working on their balance, their strengthening, their ability to ride a tricycle, and then we incorporate that into a lot of fun activities. So in the Olympics, they're participating in these fun activities, but without their realizing it, they're working on their strengthening, their balance, their motor planning, their ability to use their eye-hand coordination. So for them, it's fun without them realizing that they're actually working.
How do you guys coordinate 100 kids at that age group?
Well, we have we have 12 different classrooms, 11 different classrooms. So they come up in the groups with their class. And, the classroom staff, the teachers, and the teachers' assistants help coordinate the activities and help with the activities.
So let's walk through the 2012 Special Education Olympics. There was a javelin throw.
There was a javelin throw, correct.
Pool noodles.
With pool noodles.
Weightlifting.
There was weightlifting, yes. So one of our occupational therapists, Kevin Buchanan, he made little barbells for the kids with, he used beach pails and filled them with weights, and the kids were lifting. They loved that. They loved the weightlifting. We had them in varying weights that they could
water bottles, the water bottles we use for weights too.
Yeah.
You also had some hurdles?
We had hurdles, yes. We had hurdle jumping, and at the end of the hurdle jumping, we had a big pillow, so they tumbled into the pillow. So that was our little gymnastic activity.
Okay. How do you work the balance beam out?
We have a little balance beam. It's low to the floor.
Right.
Low to the floor, and the kids walk on the balance beam. We made it a little more challenging for some by putting an obstacle that they had to step over as they walked on the balance beam. But that's something that we do in therapy with them. We work on balance activities. So.
Okay. And then we had badminton. Now that's a bad thing out there in the real Olympics with the badminton, because we had some cheating going on. But here in the Special Olympics, it was okay.
Yeah.
Badminton.
we had beach volleyball. volleyball.
Okay.
That's what we had. We had we had a net. We had an actual net and beach balls, and the kids hit the beach balls over the net to each other, and they really, really enjoyed that activity. They were all playing together. It was a great opportunity for them to socialize in larger groups because usually they're with their class, so they were able to socialize in larger groups too.
So at the end of this all now, there is a ceremony.
There's a medal ceremony, which is really awesome. The kids really, really love the medal ceremony because, you know, John Orozco may not have won a gold medal, but 112 Bronx preschoolers won gold medals at our Olympics. And we have a medal ceremony. We have the children, prior to the Olympics, make their handprints on either orange or yellow paper, and that's how we light our Olympic torch. They come up and they put their handprint on the torch, and then they're awarded a gold medal, and they stand up on a little stand and they cheer for themselves, and the class cheers for them. It's really a great activity.
It's awesome, but how did you, talk to me about the planning, because this is something that is like, you know, it's a wonderful thing, but I guess it's a whole lot of planning involved.
There is a lot of planning involved. We have a great principal. Barbara McPhillips is our principal, and she's the one who initiates a lot of these programs, and everyone just comes together and brainstorms about different activities that we can do, and we have a lot of help, and we are able to pull it off.
Wow. So now what happens in the winter? Are there any Winter Olympics?
We have Winter Olympics every January. Every January we have Winter Olympics, yes.
Okay, so we saw a little video of that too. So if a child missed the summer, they can participate in the winter.
Yes, that's right.
Now, for people who want to find out more about your organization and what you guys do, how do they do that?
Well, we have a website, the nyise.org. That's the New York Institute for Special Education. Or they can call us at 718-519-7000, New York Institute for Special Education.
Now, criteria. Is there any special criteria for people who can be a part of your program?
Yes. The children all have to live in the Bronx and have special needs. They're referred through their school districts. Every child has a language delay. That's one of the criteria, that they are language delayed, and they are evaluated and then see if they're appropriate for our program.
Okay, well, pretty good there, and we want to make sure people know a little bit more about it. Now, guess what? The games were held on Thursday, August the 2nd, and it took place from 9:45 to about 12:30 at Pelham Parkway in the Bronx. And we want you to know that we'll have some video coming up in the future, so that way you'll be able to see a little bit more about what these kids are actually doing. Obviously, a fun time had by all.
Yes,
fun time with both faculty and staff. Any future plans? What's happening in the future? Anything big, exciting?
Yes, this is the last week of our summer program, so tomorrow we have our end of summer carnival, which is a lot of fun.
Gosh, got a whole lot of fun. Well, fun things to do during the summer. Well, thank you for all you guys do. And,
thank you.
We'll continue to follow all your work.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, glad to have you. Now, guess what? If you want more on the New York Institute for Special Education and their programs, you can always check out their website at www.nyise.org, and we'll give you more about that. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get close to wrapping things up. Stay with us. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
This is one amazing truffula tree. Can you imagine a place where these grow everywhere? Yes, it's called the Forest, a magical place to enjoy with your family. Ooh. So discover the forest and explore all the wonder that's there. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Megan, you're a tramp. Ryan Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He says you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? That zit is huge. Zit face. Ugly.
Hey, Shannon.
Well, unfortunately, yes, it's about that time where we have to wrap up, and that's all the time we do have for you today. But we want to tell you that we hope you enjoyed the show. Now, remember, you can find us on social media and share your thoughts about the episode with us. We want you to do that because we want to be very interactive. We want to know what you're thinking and how you feel, and at the same time, be able to share with other Bronxites and people all across the world, because guess what? That's what social networking does. It allows us to talk to everybody everywhere. So we encourage you to have an amazing week. Don't forget to keep your heart, your mind, and most of all, this channel wide open. Now, if you did miss tonight's episode or today's episode, there is a recablecast that comes on at 10 p.m. on BronxNet Channel 67. And if you're on Verizon Fios, that is Channel 33. And if you desire a brand new, fresh episode, come back on Friday. Check out my girl, Rena Valentine, and she will be your Cafe con Leche and a whole lot more on Friday at 10 a.m. right here on BronxNet Channel 67. For all of us here on the show, thanks for watching. Until next time we meet, stay safe and keep the channel wide open.
With a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Megan, you're a tramp. Ryan Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He says you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? That zit is huge. Zit face.